Hello and welcome to another book review on this, my wonderful cavern channel. You might wonder why I'm dressed like this. I usually record on a Saturday or a Sunday where I am fresh-faced and wonderful and everything is happy in the world. Because I'm doing something else this weekend, I'm recording this on Friday night and I've been at work all week. I am tired, as you can see by the suitcases under my eyes, and I have my pint of rum and coke.
It comes in pints? Oh. I can get you one.
But today I'm going to review Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. It's so shiny! Now this book was included on the Illumicrate January Murder Mystery box, and this is one of the books that I hadn't heard of before it came in the box. Usually sometimes you get hype marketing for stuff like this. I got nothing. So the first time I knew of this book existing in the world was when I pulled it out of the January box. But I was so interested to read it because I'm just in the mood for a good murder, you know? And I really enjoyed reading like Murder on the Orient Express, and then there were none, and this has been compared to those, so I was like, oh, do let's. So our main character is Ganymedes Pissarro. That's how I heard it in my head. It's probably not how the author pronounces it, but there's no pronunciation guide in here. So we're going with it. And he is the sole heir of the Fish Province. And the Fish Province is one of the 12 provinces of the Empire of Concordia. The others being dragon, tiger, spider, tortoise, elephant, butterfly, ox, crow, bear, ermine, and grasshopper. Yeah, I think I got all them right. Now, each province has a different blessing attached to it, and it's only the heir of these provinces that gets this blessing. But it's not hereditary, and it doesn't go for the oldest. Say it could go for the youngest child, and they don't know which one's going to get it until they display some power. And it's more who the goddess deems worthy of having this particular blessing, because all blessings come from the goddess who was the founder of the empire. Now Ganymedes, or D, as he's called in the book, and as I'm going to call him because I am not saying that all the video, D does not have a blessing, even though he is the sole heir of his province, because his father spread himself about a bit and sired a load of bastards. So the blessing thing. The fathers who have the blessing are not supposed to go around having fun anywhere they like, until one of their like pure blood heirs gets this blessing, and then he can spread himself about as much as he likes. But until then, they're not supposed to, and Dee's father did. And it was all kept very, very hush-hush. None of the other provinces, and especially the Emperor, had any knowledge of this. So D, as the sole heir of Fish Province, is supposed to have the blessing and doesn't. He assumes that one of his father's bastards has it instead and hasn't realised it yet. But in order to perpetuate the lie, him and his father are the only ones that know about this. And D is being forced to fake it. And he has to go on faking it, or it will cause absolute carnage in his province. It will be open to being overtaken or overthrown or be cut off entirely like one of the other provinces, because originally there was 13. Crab Province is behind the wall for practically doing this exact thing. Now, it is a tradition in this Concordia Empire that the 12 heirs, once everybody has shown their blessing and knows that all the heirs have a blessing, they are supposed to go on this ship to the goddess's mountain, and this cruise thing takes 12 days. Nobody else is on board with them. It is only the 12. That is it. And the ship is powered by the Emperor's magic, his blessing. Because, of course, the Emperor has the blessing, it's the strongest, and he's powering a lot of things, as well as this ship that's to go to the mountain and carry all of the 12 heirs to give thanks for their blessing. And it's hoped that in these 12 days that the heirs will become more united. Any disagreements will be thrashed out, and by the time they come back to the Empire, everything will be in harmony. Because of course that can't go wrong. Now, Dee decides that in order to stop people from finding out that he doesn't have a blessing, and thus create problems for his province, he decides that the way he's going to get through this 12 days of being pushed together with all these blessed heirs is to piss off every single one of them, so that they'll leave him alone for the entire voyage. He can just keep to his cabin, and they'll just ignore him because he's going to be that annoying and do something so outrageous to annoy the lot of them so they won't talk to him. And I get it. Now, he does something on the very first night, and it does get the reaction that he wants. However, he is overshadowed by a murder, because this is a murder mystery voyage. And his act gets overshadowed by a murder of one of the blessed. And because there are only those 12 on board, it has to be one of the 12 that is murdering the rest of them. And there are only 11 suspects, which, if you count 10, if you count the person that got killed and Dee as we are in his head, and we know he didn't do it. So there's only 10 suspects, and there's like 12 days that they have to stay on this boat. They have to find who is the murderer out of all of them. And because they don't all get along, and with politics playing into it, factions playing into it, class playing into it, what each province does for the others and what they can give them ties into how reliable the heir seems to come across. And so Dee kind of takes it upon himself to try and find out who is the killer, just so that he doesn't get killed. Which is where we get our murder mystery. Now, I am all for the murder mystery. I was so looking forward to reading this. And it did grab my attention. I enjoyed reading it. It's a beautiful looking it's a beautiful looking edition. If you want to see my unboxing of this book, you can click, I'll tag it straight up there. But this is a beautiful edition. I mean, look at it, it's so shiny. So lovely. It's so shiny, see? Shiny, shiny. And I love that in this book there are maps. So like it has a map of the Dragon's Dawn, which is the ship, and it has a map of the Empire as well. So you get two maps all in one. Now, I like maps being in a book. Do I ever reference them while I'm reading? No. But I like them being there, just so I can get kind of an idea before I even start. Now, as I said, this grabbed me for the first few, I think it was about this much of it. It grabbed me and I couldn't put it down. I even posted about it on social media that I couldn't put it down, and it was guaranteed to be either a 4 or 5 star book. And then I put it down and I didn't pick it up for 3 weeks. Because the writing is really good in this first, first third of it. It's really, really good. It's really deep. It really hits the world building. This is where the world building starts, and it starts out really, really good, really intriguing, and you get to kind of an overview of the 12 heirs, the provinces, and what the, factions are, and who likes who doesn't really get along. It's quite intriguing, and I really, really enjoyed it. But for the majority of this book, the writing is clearly not adult. It's young adult. It's YA fantasy. And this book is marketed as an adult murder mystery fantasy. So I was expecting that more mature language in it. And the deeper power plays. And I was expecting more mystery, because it just doesn't hit that line of being an adult written book. And there is nothing wrong with being a YA book. I enjoy reading YA books for the most part, but it wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting an adult murder mystery along the lines of And Then There Were None, which has been compared to a lot in its marketing. And I've read that. And that's what I was expecting, because like And Then There Were None, it's a ship. You know, there's nowhere for them to go. They're stuck together. So you would expect more intrigue, more political manoeuvring, more manipulation. It doesn't have that. And unfortunately, in places, it was even juvenile. The writing was juvenile. The main character of D, he is supposed to be 22. And all the characters range in ages from 6 to, I think, 28. But there's a whole big range of ages in there. And every single character, barring the 6-year-old, is written like they're 12. They talk like they're 12, and they all interact like they're 12, and they act like they're 12. I mean, it's even written in here, like, words like fart and bottom are hilariously funny, and the main character thinks it's wonderfully funny, and can't stop laughing at it and grinning. And it's like, really, dude? Really? You're 22. You're 22. Seriously, can't you be a little bit more mature in an adult book? And that's why I think it's more YA. And one of the things that annoyed me every time it came up is that the main character D, that's the only point of view we've got, is his outlook. He is written as bisexual, which is fine, as long as it's done right. But this went into the stereotype that bisexual people want to fuck everything they see. And you could say that, oh, well, you're not bisexual, you shouldn't have an opinion. I have an opinion because I read this thing. It was a bit too stereotypical for like a bisexual character to fall in love with every single other character he meets. Tone it down, dude. You think fart's funny and then you're talking about fucking in threesomes. It doesn't vibe right. It didn't vibe right. And I've read books that have those sexualities in them, and they've done it really, really well. For me, this didn't. And like I said, he falls in love with every single character bar one, and that is a 6-year-old, thank God. But even the 6-year-old of Grasshopper is... She's supposed to be 6, and she's written like she's a toddler. I kept forgetting her age. I thought she was like 2 or 3 in this thing. Because she can't speak properly. She acts like a toddler. She can get distracted with crayons, which, fair enough, but it's like you're distracting a child, not somebody who is heir to a province and has a power. She's 6, not 2. It annoyed me. Now, in some of my book reviews, I am going to talk about spoilers, and this is where you get your spoiler warning. I am going to go into spoilers in this because I need to vent. I need to let it out. So if you want to avoid spoilers, you can go ahead to this time up there and just cut out all of my negativity surrounding this, for the most part. And these are major, major spoilers for the plot of this. So if you are planning on reading this, or if you're reading it already, stop watching me and fast forward to this time, because this is gonna get spoilers everywhere. Now, as I said, up to the first third of the book, it had me intrigued. I was there, I was with it. I could not put it down until I did. And I think it was at that point where it turned from what was building up to be a gripping, edge of your seat murder mystery into some emo bullshit moping around romance. And it lost me there. I was not wanting romance in this, I was wanting murder. And it's at this point that this book commits a really heinous crime for being a murder mystery book, and that is what it is, and it's supposed to be a murder mystery book, and people are dying, and there's supposed to be all these stakes. So tell me why the murders themselves and the investigation take a backseat and are practically background noise to Dee's emotional moping about the place. practically going, woe is me, all over the place. I mean, yeah, I get it, heirs are dying, but you're not even fucking looking. Now, as I've said, I think I've said a few times in this that the romance was just not what I was wanting when I picked this up. I wanted murder. I wanted death. I wanted intrigue. Now, in saying that, you would think, oh, well, the romance must be bad. No. The romance was well written in parts. It was well written at the beginning with Dee and Ravi when they were younger and they were in a cave, and all that young romance. It was really, really well done, and you get that in the flashbacks. And the building of the romance with Wyatt was really well done. If it hadn't have taken over and been the focal point rather than the actual murders, I probably would have liked it even more than I did. I liked the slow burn. I liked the, lingering looks that were maybe just a little bit too long. Touches that were a little bit too long. I liked that. I liked the building of it. And that is why I get so annoyed with this, because we'll get there. But I think one thing that is in this book that really didn't need to be there is the sex. It did not have to be in there. It's like it was an afterthought to shove it in there to make it an adult book. So like if this is the line and up here is adult fantasy and down here is YA and this is the line that differentiates between the two, and you've got all your sex and violence and swearing and everything up here and your niceness down here. I think this book belongs down here. And the sex was shoved in it because either the publisher or the author wanted it marketing as an adult book, so it got shoved into this area where it doesn't belong. It belongs in YA. It's written as YA. The language used in it is YA, and if it didn't have the sex in it, it would be classified as a YA. And the sex wasn't even well written. I like reading smut. I don't mind reading a good bit of nookie every now and then, when it's written well. And this wasn't. It just wasn't written well. The romance, the slow burn, the building, written really well. The sex, It was just jarring, and it was completely unnecessary. It would have had more impact if the sex was never there. It would have felt more if the sex was never there. It really didn't need to be there. For anybody. And if you're still here after I've said this is spoilers, and this is a major spoiler because I have a major, major issue with one of the gigantic big plot points. So if you're planning on reading this, this is your last warning. This is ultra spoiler territory. You've been warned. Because speaking of romance, now, as I said, the slow burn between Dee and Wyatt, I loved it. I loved the build of it. I loved the lingering touches, the lingering looks, the little smiles every now and then. And from, like, this bit here to, like, this bit here, as I said, the murders take a backseat to the romance, which is this chunk of this chunk of this book. This bit is all the romance between Dee and Wyatt, only to reveal right at the fucking end that Wyatt was Ravi in disguise all along. What the fuck? Really? Seriously? Why? Why? It didn't need to be that I feel like bashing somebody's brains out with this. And it would have been more of a murder mystery if somebody had bashed somebody's brains in with a book. Because in all this build-up, Dee not only falls in love with the way Wyatt acts, which is Ravi in disguise, the way he acts, everything. He falls in love with his looks, how he looks, and it's Ravi inside that and not Wyatt. And he falls in love with him in all of this book. He loves him and he falls in love with him. And when Ravi reveals that he has been Wyatt all along, there are no repercussions. Dee feels nothing but love for this guy. He doesn't even say, well, whoa. Me, livid. There would be an extra murder because I'd kill him. I would kill him, and I would enjoy it, and he would completely deserve it. He doesn't even take accountability, he doesn't apologise, and he just forgives him. I was so invested in their romance. I was rooting for him, and they overcome so much together, and they go through so much together, and and it's not even a slow burn. It's not even like building back up after this reveal. In the space of this reveal being in this one conversation, Dee just forgets it ever happened. And just goes merrily on his way. Like, what? Whoa! You have no reaction? Dude, seriously? We have been in your head for all of this time, and you have no reaction to this fuckery? It's like somebody used the... have all of this happening, and then only at the end for somebody to wake up and say, oh, it was all a dream. That is the worst trope. The worst trope, and the cardinal sin. Ugh. I hate it if you didn't get it already. And the biggest annoyance of all is that Dee doesn't figure anything out. All of this investigating he doesn't figure anything out. He doesn't figure out who the murderer is. The murderer tells him that they are the murderer. All of this sleuthing he's supposed to be doing is for nothing. He gets nowhere. He finds nothing out. He doesn't even suspect this person of being the murderer until they reveal that they're the murderer. He gets given so many clues in this. And I was wanting at the end for it to be like a big reveal that he knows who it is, and they'll get through it and they'll convict them and they'll do something. And he doesn't find out who the murderer is. What kind of murder mystery investigation are we doing when he doesn't find out who the killer is? I hate it. And the murderer ends up revealing all this, not like in a subtle, under the ground, in the shadows way. It's an exposition dump. And you get 2 exposition dumps right at the end. In the space of 2 pages, I might add. The ending is so rushed. What happens on the mountain and what happens when they get back to the Empire is glossed over. It's rushed. All of this for a payoff of 3 pages. The ending was so rushed I practically got whiplash from it. I was not happy. Now, you might think because of all my criticisms of this that I hated the book. I did not hate the book. I enjoyed reading the book. Was I extremely annoyed by the end of it? Yeah. But more disappointed than annoyed, because it wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting a murder mystery. And I wanted more murder and less romance. And the twisty flips at the end weren't needed. They weren't needed. And I get you want the main character to win, essentially. But the twisty flips, not needed. And I understand why the majority of the characters in this get murdered. I get it. It's for the plot. The whole reasoning behind what's going on is that. But because the murders were pushed to the background noise of the romance, the murders themselves didn't have much impact. They were just oh, somebody's dead again. Oh no. That's not what the world building stakes were trying to portray here. That it was just oh, shucks. I wanted it to be more intriguing, more political, less romance. Now, I'm not saying don't romance. I'm just saying put the romance to the back and the murders to the front. There was a lot of, no great loss. And I enjoyed reading it solely because the main character Dee I didn't get on with. He was too immature. I felt like slapping him at some points and just going, oh, really, dude, you're just a dick. You're not even a funny one. You're just a dick. And the characters that I did like, I didn't get enough time with. I preferred the characters of Esker, Tendai, Nergui, I'm hoping I said that right, and Shinzaro. Because those characters had the backstory, they had the intrigue, they had the politics, they had those dark background stories of where they came from, why they are how they are. And with the other characters, especially D, I don't care. I don't care. I wanted more intrigue because their backstories were more of the adult matureness. And D's just wasn't. For all that is 22, it just wasn't. So for me, this book gets 3 stars and 3 stars only. I was going to try and push it into like 3.5 or 4, but it just, I have too much to criticise to push it into that, and it won't go down into a 2 because I actually did enjoy reading it. So this has been I might have been a bit too animated with this. I'll have to see in editing, but I probably was. But yeah, if you're planning to read this anytime soon, or if you have read this, please share your thoughts down in the comments box below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel so that you will get all the videos as they come out. Next weekend, there might not be a video next weekend, because as I said, I'm recording this on a Friday simply because this weekend, the bookshelf downstairs, I have books all over the house, they're all going into one room, and I am carving out a corner for myself, hopefully where all my bookshelves will be together, and the recording PC and my gaming PC will be, I don't have 2, I just have the 1. Will be there with them. I'm going to be carving out a space, and that is what I'm going to be doing all weekend, and which might mean that I don't have the time to read and in order review anything else for a while. But next on my list to read is a book I pulled out of my jar, which is this one, and I'm looking forward to reading this because I like watching the films and I practically know some of them off by heart. So yeah, I am looking forward to picking this up this weekend, hopefully if I get time. But yeah, as always, it has been a pleasure, and no matter how frustrated you get with a book, always keep reading.